Hey guys, Artillect here. I wanted to make a follow-up to the first video I made about my typewriter project. If you haven't already seen that video, go check it out. It explains how my project works and what it took to get most of the way here. I've made some updates since then that fixed most of the issues that it was having, and also gave it some new capabilities. I'm super surprised about the response to my first video. A few news sites wrote articles about it, and even more sites copied those articles. A lot of my new subscribers came from these sites, so I'd like to welcome you all to my channel. There's a surprise at the end of the video, so stick around if you want to see some really cool ASCII art. In my last video, you saw me use a few commands that I carefully selected because they work properly with my setup. And since then, I fixed most of the major issues with my code, and now I should be able to run nearly any command on my typewriter, except commands like vim and emacs, for reasons I explained in the first video. The most major issue I faced in the first video was long outputs from the Raspberry Pi being cut off. To solve this, I implemented serial flow control in the Arduino, so it can tell the Raspberry Pi to stop sending it text whenever the input buffer gets filled. I made it so the Arduino sends an X-off character when the buffer is almost full, which tells the Raspberry Pi to stop sending text. When the buffer is almost empty, the Arduino sends an X-on character to tell the Raspberry Pi to start sending text again. Even though I solved the problem of long outputs being cut off, some characters are lost whenever the Arduino sends an X-off or X-on. Apparently this is because the library I'm using, Software Serial, doesn't allow simultaneous two-way communication. By switching to the AltSoft serial library, this completely eliminates this problem. The typewriter has a code key that you can use in combination with other keys to type special characters, and a status key that you use to enable different formatting features. Earlier, I wasn't able to figure out how to get the typewriter to recognize two key presses at the same time, but by sending them one right after another with no pause in between, the typewriter is tricked into thinking that they were pressed at the same time. Now I can use all of the green symbols printed on the keys, and all of the formatting features shown above the keyboard. Now that I've shown you the updates that I've made, I'll show you what it can do. First, I'll show off the bold text using SF. And there we go! My username's bold, and so's the system information. The labels like kernel and uptime are supposed to be bold, but somewhere along the line my typewriter's getting confused. I'll have to sort that out in the future. A few of you wanted to see me run nano on this, just to see what happens, so I'll give it a shot. Surprisingly, it's a lot less eventful than I expected. The same thing happens with C-matrix. Eventually it does output text to the serial monitor, but it just keeps on beeping angrily at me. And now for the main event. Now that my typewriter can handle long outputs, I can print out pieces of ASCII art from text files without manually programming them into the Arduino. Here's my typewriter printing out an ASCII version of the Mona Lisa by Normand Veilleux. With these updates, I can finally move on to connecting the typewriter's keyboard to the Arduino. I think I've finally figured out how to do it. Conveniently, the connectors for the keyboard's cables have the same spacing as the holes in a breadboard, so I should be able to remove the connectors from the typewriter and wire them up using 2 more multiplexers on a breadboard. Once I've done that, I just have to write some code to read the channels of the multiplexers one by one so it can detect which key is being pressed. If you like this video and you want to see more of this project in the future, make sure to subscribe to my channel and drop a like. Let me know in the comments if there are any other commands you'd like to see me try out, or any other art you'd like to see my typewriter print. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.